Hey.
Hi. Weird day, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 60 degrees.
It's 60 degrees and it's February
8th.
8th.
Right?
It's 5th.
Oh.
This is what happens when you get more woo-woo. You forget what time and day it is. Oh, man, we had such good banter before we recorded. I wish next time,
Just don't talk.
Yeah.
Immediately start. Well.
Immediately start. So, but I think we know what to talk about, which...
Right. Money.
Should we say welcome to another episode of... As
Woo. As
You
want. Right? Is that the
to
name?
be? No.
Messing it up.
No. You did that last
Okay.
episode.
Well, hey.
Welcome to another episode.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for joining us again. We're going to talk about money.
We both feel pretty weird today. Yeah.
Yeah.
The struggle of financial stability.
Yeah.
When you work a job that is not that way.
Yeah. What's a nice kind of bridge between the last episode and this one is money is energy.
True.
So, episode 2 is all about energy. We talked a little bit about attraction and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And this is, I guess, the practical way of putting it into our world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Creating abundance and then actually having the money.
Yeah. And also the fact that you are your money in this weird way.
Right. It's so tied to your security.
Yeah.
And your, self-worth. It's so anxious. It's so anxiety-producing.
It's so anxiety-producing. Oh, man. So why are we talking about money? Well, things have been pretty... I'm just going to say.
Yeah,
I'm just going to say it. So I have been on a pretty crazy money journey. As you know, my one of my favorite spiritual teachers, Tosha Silver, she actually is, so this is why this is coming up, is because she released this book called It's Not Your Money this week, and she had a free call. So we were just, when Celine walked into the room, money's on my mind. I got my money on my mind.
He was also eating a really good sandwich.
Yeah, I was eating a sandwich.
It felt
Trying
nice.
to save money.
Yeah. But then I think you should tell them about the text that you got while you were listening to the money.
Yeah, so this is the funny thing. I got a text while the call was happening from a friend offering me a pretty good gig, short, high-paying thing.
Right.
And for those who don't know, Celine and I are both freelancers.
Yes.
So I think anyone who's listening who's also a freelancer, you kind of need to have faith.
Right. You need to figure out how to have faith when there's nothing stable or even on the horizon.
Yeah.
So I was telling Jeremiah that I definitely, and I still do, but I had a bunch of struggles with feeling secure financially over the last couple of years. And what I was telling him was that there would be these moments where I was super at my wit's end. I was so nervous and scared that I wasn't going to have enough just for basic stuff, to be real talk. Then I would get a text from someone being like, hey, I'd love a session, or get a check in the mail from some random, I don't know, government thing that it was $30 or $60. And I'd be like, hey, there's a little sign. And so it's this constant process of looking for the little signs, trusting that they're going to show up, and then getting more into that kind of vibration and working on it and being diligent. And I think the best time to get into it is when you're in a really shitty spot.
Yeah. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. But it's the best place to start, I think, because Got nothing left to lose.
No, I'm very
Yeah.
beyond that. I'm very beyond that.
It's the best exercise in trust
Yeah.
that you'll ever have.
Yeah, it's deep. It goes to the core.
Yeah.
Like, I've experienced basically terror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing to see how your life shows up for you during those moments. Like family, friends, strangers, like,
I'm so glad we're talking about this.
Yeah. Well, because I think it's something no one really talks about, and especially in like the woo-woo world, like where it's so like optimistic and love and light and like sometimes that's just not how life is, you know? You have
No.
to pay for your cell phone.
Yeah.
And
also, like, I had a really in-depth conversation with a couple of friends a couple nights ago about this stuff. And I think there's this common idea that, like, being spiritual is, like, you get to sit on top of this mountain in the sun and, like, everything's, like, flowing and
Yeah.
everything's perfect. And I actually think, like, being spiritual is going through the struggles, you know?
Yeah.
Both. But, like...
yeah. I think it depends what kind of environment you've created for your life, right? Like, you can be really spiritual and sit on a mountain and drink tea and meditate if you live in a mountain and you're by yourself. And that's the life you want to live.
Yeah.
But if you live in New York City, you know, you can't shut everything out like that.
No, I feel... And remember we were talking about meditation? Like, whoa... I don't know, there's a bus or truck outside.
See?
I don't know if you heard that. Agreeing. But when we were talking about meditating in New York, I feel like New York is such a training ground.
Yeah. I mean, if you can do it here. Well, they say
You
that
can do
about...
it. You literally said that.
I
And
know, but I totally mean it.
you can do it here.
You could do it anywhere.
Holy shit.
So,
That's funny. Yeah. So, real talk. Like, I left a full-time gig in 2016. And part of the reason I did it was because I think I just had to step more into my authenticity. I wanted to pursue music more.
right.
And I feel like that happens a lot where you sacrifice your authenticity for money.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. But I feel like it's, for some people, that's okay.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, some people are like, that's fine. I can work at a, I don't know, Chase Bank doing their website design, which is, or I don't know, whatever it is, where it's not like they're like passionate about it, but it's a job and it's money. And that's totally their journey and their path. Mm-hmm. And that's fine.
For sure.
Or I don't know, maybe it's not. Maybe it creates a really kind of dumpstery world, which could be true.
No, I mean, it's to be someone like that. It's nice. You don't have to worry. I don't know. You're not thinking about it, or it's not a concern to you. You know.
Yeah, but then I think this thing happens with people around our age where they're like, "What am I doing with my life?"
That has been the
That's
fucking
what everybody-
thesis statement of my life.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think that if you kind of have no like purpose, you
Yeah.
know, you don't have any passion in your purpose.
It's so tied to purpose. Like, and I do think that while what my bank account looks like would terrify any individual.
I think mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that taking that leap, leaving the job and doing what I needed to do, it taught me all those things, like getting help from family and friends and like being humble about it.
Yeah.
You know, like I didn't want it. I didn't want to ask for help, and learning to receive, learning to ask.
So terrifying.
Yeah, because this culture teaches you to pick yourself up by your own fucking bootstraps and not rely on anyone else. And so
Right.
we're all in these, capitalistic silos.
Yeah, it's the oligarchy. Do you know what that means?
Yeah. I'm a philosophy master.
Oh, yeah. I forgot.
No. Yeah. No, for sure. I've been thinking a lot about like capitalism and how it almost thrives on us all being separated.
So this is what I was telling you before about Caroline Elliott. She's this practicing, I guess witch. I don't know what is a better term for that, in Pennsylvania. And she has all these workshops, and she works a lot with money magic. And from what I understand about it, it's sort of using sexual energy to manifest financial prosperity, getting off on like the greediness and the kind of like dirtiness of money and using it to your advantage.
Oh, shit.
Isn't that nutso?
That's interesting.
I don't know if I'm actually representing that accurately, but I get her emails.
Yeah.
And I read them, and I've listened to some talks. She's done some like live streaming kind of talks about like sex magic, and it's not something that I know much about, but I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. Well,
right?
When you mentioned that, I definitely think sex, pleasure, those are things that are actually really important and tied to money. It's also tied to your inner child. So like all of these things where it's like, when I did this money class with Tosha, she did this 8-call class.
8-call class?
8 calls. That was like
8
a
calls.
class. Yeah.
Okay.
This is almost 2 years ago now. And she talks about how like money and sex are like such big centers of shame.
Right.
Right. And so like us all denying those things is denying abundance, denying flow, denying our ability to enjoy
sex magic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really do think like there's this other abundance book I was reading by John Randolph Price.
Sounds familiar.
I'm forgetting the name of the book, but he has this like 40-day step program or whatever. But he talks about how like him and his wife practice this, and sex is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Like in order to feel abundant, it's important to indulge in your physicality and embrace it and go for it. The other thing I was thinking was be grateful for it, because I think gratitude is also a massive, massive thing. And I know personally for me, like being in this place, and I think you were saying the same thing, when you get to a place where you're just like at the bone of, your kind of financial situation, you become incredibly grateful for your family, your friends, just like, being able to afford like a sandwich.
Right.
And
getting your like free bodega points.
Yeah.
We have that at a bodega near me.
That's awesome.
But I also think that it's actually the groundwork for manifesting and creating in your life when you're at kind of rock bottom. Because I feel like that's what happened a bit to me. I started consciously journaling, like consciously making lists of like what I'm grateful for, what kind of like job, what kind of life I want to have, and like manifesting that. And then within the last year, those things have come up, and I'm like, wow, that was nuts. I did what I said I wanted, and not in like a greedy way, just in a way that I could like live my life in a nice, comfortable way. And it's happening now. So
Yay.
But I mean, also sometimes I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? But I think it's like an everyday endeavor, because I notice that if I don't meditate or sit at an altar or, light Palo Santo and like say thank you to my ancestors and getting into my vortex, like then kind of almost very like suddenly I'll like dip down.
Yeah.
Into like kind of shit. And I'll be like, oh, fuck. And then I'm like, oh, I have to do this practice every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where the work comes in.
Yeah, and it's a daily thing.
It's a daily thing, yeah.
And it gets easier.
It gets easier because you're more in the flow of it, It's
Right.
not going from like 0 to 50, which is like 0 is total lack. And 50, you're like, I can get a sandwich.
That was a very scientific
Well, I love science. Love
measurement.
science.
Yeah, I gratitude is a big part of it. Gratitude is like huge, I think.
Yeah, and recognizing the small little victories you have, like today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had nothing, and then someone's like, cool, here's this job. And you're like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's something.
And being open. So here's something I'm struggling with.
Yes.
Being open to receiving certain things, certain work, but also honoring like my needs and my desires and my authenticity, right?
So, like, you mean
So like,
you don't want to do certain projects that you think are like meh?
right.
Oh.
What's that cutoff point? I mean, I don't know if there's a clear answer, but I'm just curious what you think about it.
I think that when you're in like the dumps, all bets are off.
You just say yes.
Yeah. Because then I think you learn and you're appreciative when you can say no. And when you can be like, you know what? I did that and I did those jobs and I like did stuff I didn't really want to do, but it got me to a place where I learned from that. I know more. And I think the ability to say no to work is a gift.
Totally.
And you say, and I also think it's like well, it depends if you don't want to do it it depends why you don't want to work with whomever.
Right.
Like, I won't do house calls anymore. Like, go to people's houses and give them acupuncture. Like, I used to go, like, everywhere. Like, Upper East Side, downtown, like, all these places. And it was a total pain in the ass. But I just needed the money. But now I'm like, no, I won't do that anymore.
If you charged more, would you do it?
If they had a table.
Oh, right. Right, you gotta schlep a table.
Yeah. Like, and I think the longer you practice in whatever you're doing, like, you become more of your skill is bigger. And so you can be more worthy of your practice.
Man, I'm like totally, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for me, it took like 5 years. Now I'm like, I know enough and I feel comfortable enough in what I do to say, you know what, like, that is something I don't want to necessarily give my energy to. Mm-hmm. If you want to come to my space, sure. Like, I think that takes
True North
some time.
Healing Arts.
Yes. But, so I think that's kind of my take on that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
It was so
wordsmith,
good.
Wordsmith.
Yeah.
But
It's really enlightening.
I think money will always be an issue because of the world we kind of navigate in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think we can, like, have enough,
Yeah. Totally. The worthiness thing is big. Like what you're just saying. And like, that's what I was experiencing. That's what I have been experiencing is, I did video for 10 years and music has always been a part of my life, but doing it professionally is much
Right.
more recent. And so getting to a skill level where you start to feel confident and you start to feel worthy in receiving jobs and
Right.
feeling like I do have something to offer.
Yeah.
And it's like that beginning part that's like so fucking painful. it's birthing, It's
Well,
like,
and it's also so much about when you have a job that is more of a service or a craft, it depends a lot on other people, right? Other people saying, you're great, I appreciate your work, you are different and unique than someone else. And I think that really ties into our emotional feeling of self-worth versus if you work at, I don't know, in a job where you're at a desk where you can just kind of be behind a screen in a veil. You're not as like a front and center. People aren't, going to judge you so much by your work
Right.
and your worthiness. That's what I struggle with. Like, how am I different? What do I offer that is different from someone else that practices the same things I do?
Yeah. Well, we're all different, though.
Yeah.
So you do offer something different.
Well, you do
have to.
too.
Thank you.
But, you know, I think that comes down to this, like, worthiness and, like, sometimes I feel like it's, like a popularity contest at my jobs.
Mm.
You know, if someone's busier than me, I'm like, what does that mean?
Right. Well, also, like, certain, different strokes, different folks. Like, there are going to be people who listen to this podcast and they're going to be like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
These people are bozos.
And this is the most boring shit on the internet. And that's saying something. Or there's going to be people who like, I want more. I love Celine and Jeremiah. And they're going to like...
Yeah, that's true. I guess this is also an example of that. But
yeah.
Yeah.
That's big, though. That is really big. Because I think that does also tie into this idea of self-worth and authenticity and allowing yourself to just be you and not trying to be like someone else.
Yeah.
And like you are unique. You know, I said this, I think it was the last episode where I was like, everyone is different. And like,
right.
That's, for me, that's divinity. Like the fact that everyone is unique, you embracing your uniqueness is you embracing your divinity. And, we've all, been prone to like try to like copy, someone else
right.
or be someone else or like whatever. But I don't know, at least for me, it's about stepping into who you are. And there's so much shit out there that's telling you to conform and telling you to, to not embrace your inner worthiness, to almost like outsource your worthiness to a company or a whatever profession.
Like social media.
Yeah.
Though I don't like really get caught up with social media like a lot of people do. Where they're like, I can't follow it. I feel FOMO. I get nervous. Other people are having a nice time.
I don't care.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not something
I think
we
we're
can
also
talk
like
about.
maybe like older. I don't know. Maybe when I was younger, you see people like party.
I never cared.
Yeah. You're just more mature than me. I think for me, what's really complicated my journey is I have my... By the way, I had mentioned my Geminis in Mars last time, and I falsely attributed Mars to the mind. It is a little bit. The mind is actually more Mercury.
Is it?
Yeah. But Mars is more
a fighter.
passions. Yeah, passions and energy and drive.
Okay.
So having my Gemini in Mars means I'm just like, my passions are literally all over the place.
Oh.
So being raised, to... I think now it's almost everyone, because everyone is that, I think certain people are more comfortable kind of pursuing like one thing and like being that like one thing. But I think a lot of people are, many.
Yeah.
And that was something that I struggled with, was embracing the fact that I like doing a lot of different things. I like doing music. I like doing video sometimes.
Yeah.
I like this podcast. I like talking about spirituality.
Well, I also think that we live much longer than we used to, right? So we almost have many lives in one lifetime, right?
1,000,000,000%.
We're like, I used to work in PR, horrible at it. I used to work at a record label, also not great. That's...
Let's talk about our jobs.
Oh my God, yes. I worked at, right after college, I worked at a PR firm. And I think this is in a nutshell what was just top notch. So you have to do cold calling, right?
Oh my God, it's the worst thing.
Really the worst. And I'm just like
ever.
Not a bullshitter. If I'm not into it, I can't.
That's hysterical.
Well,
I
it's
can't even
even
imagine.
better because I had to cold call this product called Vibrel, which doesn't exist anymore, which is basically a female Viagra. At 22, I'd have to call reporters and talk about how Vibrel worked for vaginal dryness in older women.
You're blowing my mind right now.
It's something to this day that my entire family, an extended family, still make fun of me for. It was crazy. I did it for a year. I knew the owner, and he was like, this isn't really working. And I was like, I know. This is just, like, not a good fit.
This was right after college?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then I worked at a French record label that was...
What label?
George V Records. They actually do the Buddha Bar. You know the Buddha Bar?
That sounds familiar.
The Buddha Bar is like these like lounge bars they have all over the world. And they actually have their own record label. And so I worked in the New York office doing like a little bit of sales and then managing the office. But it was all these hot French dudes who ran it. And all these like attractive supermodel women would come in and they would just rip butts in the office. And I would just be like, what am I doing? And then
That's
I went
a cool
to
job.
It was kind of cool.
And then you went to acupuncture school.
And then I went to acupuncture school.
Well, how old are you?
25, 6.
Okay. So you've been doing it for a while.
Wait, is that true? I think that's the right age.
Yeah.
Between,
Oh my
I can't
God.
really remember. Isn't that weird?
All right. Here's my
Here we
job
go.
history.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do like all of it just because it's
Oh.
kind of fun.
Okay.
You wanna go back further?
The only like fun one I have was when I was in either college or end of high school. I worked at a bathing suit store in Greenwich, Connecticut, which was a nightmare.
Yeah, Greenwich.
Greenwich, and then bathing suits for women. Imagine that. Like one of the most complex body image issues in the world. And then here was some like goober being like, it looks great. That was tough.
Yeah.
I worked a lot in retail, I think. Nothing's really like funnier than the...
Man, retail.
But, and like, I was a barista.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's
I
key
never
to
did
work in
restaurant.
service.
I never did
you
restaurant.
Never did?
No, I can't. I couldn't do it.
I did it for like a year and a half. It just makes you, you understand service and like you're a waiter or waitress.
I've dated people.
Same difference, right?
Yeah, and they taught me. I was a 15% tipper until my very good friend who years ago we dated, Allison, she was a waitress and she was like,
No.
20%.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know till you know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you go.
Okay. Teenage years, because I was a punk rocker, I worked at Sam Goody at the Garden State Plaza in New Jersey.
Stop.
The mall was so big that there were two Sam Goodies. There was the big one on one side of the mall, and then I worked at the small one.
The boutique one.
So our Sam Goody was all about customer service because we needed to make ourselves stand out because the other Sam Goody had all the selection.
Sam Goody.
And like the store was really small. It was probably like 20 by like 15. It was tiny.
Tiny.
Yeah. And I got employee of the month.
Of course.
And I got paid. It was like minimum wage. It was like $5.25 an hour. Like
You were
just
employee
like,
of the month at Sam Goody.
oh yeah.
That should be like in a bio somewhere. That's
You're
pretty
right.
Good. That's pretty good.
It's so hard writing your bio, but that's exactly the line I know I should do. I did that. And then I
Okay.
worked at so like during college, I worked at the Jewish Theological Seminary.
Step up there, huh?
Jew
buddy?
alert, Jew alert. I worked at the library, which was fucking awesome.
I love libraries.
It was awesome.
They're magnificent
It was
places.
quiet. I could listen to music while I like shelved books.
Could read everything you want.
I worked with my sister Jessica and my friend Malachi, who is just like a ball.
That
like
sounds awesome.
one of the most fun people I worked with. I actually worked with him later on at Tommy Hilfiger.
What?
Yeah. So wait, I'm jumping
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. Sorry, I just got very excited.
So yeah, so I did that until through college, and then after college, I know I'm missing shit, but after college, I really had a hard time finding work. This was 2005, and on Craigslist, I randomly found a courier delivery job.
Oh my God, you were a bike messenger?
No, van. Oh. We had our band van, And so it was basically like they were looking for a man with a van who could just like drive around and like deliver packages.
What city are we in?
This is Orangeburg, New York. So it's like very south New York State, right like by the border of New Jersey.
Okay.
And I used to like go back and forth on the Tappan Zee.
Okay. That's very weird.
Yeah, until I got into an accident. And what's crazy is I literally, like 2 weeks before I got into the accident, it was fine. It was a fender bender. Oh. Totally my fault, but the Sawmill Parkway is like the worst place. But like maybe a week or two before it happened, I was like, I'm driving a lot every day. That raises my chances of getting into an accident. And I just like, it just happened. Yeah. I'm sure I created it for myself.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You definitely attracted that.
What was nice about that job, though, is I got to listen to, like, NPR all day. And
did you get paid well? I feel like that's not a good paying job.
I was living at home at the time.
So it
was
didn't
just,
really
like,
matter.
something.
Okay.
And then I was a administrative assistant at a employee assistance program. So I was basically an administrative assistant for social workers.
Oh.
But the employee assistance program was housed in a law firm.
This sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It was cool. It was very chill. I was able to just like
You were just like a computer
follow
person.
Yankee blogs at the time. I was really a big Yankee fan at the time.
I was really into I discovered a lot of new music when I worked at a desk job.
Those are the perks.
Yeah, I was like, this is a cool new band. And I'd like send it to friends. You know? Good Facebook profile pictures.
Well, yeah, for me, during that admin job was when I was like, I want to be a philosophy teacher. And
I could see you doing that still.
I started studying for the GREs while I was at that job. You know, there'd be days where it'd be slow and I would just be able to do like practice tests. And then I went to grad school.
Oh. But when did Tommy come into the picture?
After grad school, I was freelancing, doing like film editing.
For Tommy?
But no. I was just like trying to make ends meet. So I was in that like one of those like, I need to make fucking money.
Sure.
Yes to anything.
Yes.
And my good friend, Ariel, she was working at Tommy full time and was like, we actually need like some stock boys. So like me and Malachi would work at the Tommy building. And we actually worked at Macy's during Christmas.
Ugh.
Herald Square,
That
Macy's.
sounds like nightmare
was
zone. You had fun. You liked it.
nuts. Well, I was working with Malachi. It was fun.
I like that name, Malachi.
Yeah, we're Jewy. Jeremiah, Malachi. Jillian always makes fun of us. Our friend Jillian.
Malachi just reminds me of crystals.
Why?
Oh, wait. Malachite. Never mind.
It's close.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of my friends are like Jewy names. Malachi, David, Noah,
No. Well,
Josh,
yeah.
Daniel.
Daniel.
It's very Old Testament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, religion.
Anyway, so yeah, I did a bunch of, and then I started doing freelance editing stuff, and then eventually I got the Etsy gig. Yeah.
Huh. And then here we are.
And here we are. You know what's nice about talking about that? I would encourage everyone to like think back on the jobs you did and then like look at where you are now. Because there's something about it that like almost releases your attachment to like what you're doing.
Well, I think it changes your perspective on to see how far you've come from where you were, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times when we're in a little like downward dumpster hole, you just focus on all the things you don't have versus like if you think about, okay, 5 years ago I was doing XYZ and now I'm doing something that I kind of set off to do. And sure, it has its struggles, but like it's super gratifying and I'm in the right place at the right time.
Totally. Gratitude. Yeah. I feel that all the time. I mean, regardless of how difficult things have been, every day that I come into the studio, I like literally thank everything. I'm like so grateful to have this space.
I don't always do it, but I do try.
Well, I mean, you don't have to do it every day. I'm sure I don't do it every single day, but I feel very connected to, and it's the perspective of working those other jobs where you're like, that just increases your gratitude.
Yeah.
You already said that, but I'm just saying it again.
Did I say that?
I don't know.
Well,
riffing off.
I meant it internally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also taught yoga I forgot to mention that.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Before I went to acupuncture school, I did a yoga teacher training.
Cool.
Yeah, in Baja. I lived in a tent on the beach. I just really got in touch with what I'm about. That's what's cool about, I think, doing yoga teacher trainings. I mean, besides learning how to teach, like, to be a teacher, you have to be kind of self-aware and deal with your own shit.
A good teacher.
A good teacher. And so I think so I actually did that right before I started acupuncture school, and I think the timing of it was not coincidental. Like, it really allowed me to go into the space of learning how to be a practitioner with that kind of background of the yoga and like satya, which is the practice of sitting with people, and you kind of just discuss, I don't know, any struggles you have, and just being able to talk about it, like, I think really paved the way for that kind of
acupuncture stuff.
Yeah.
Did you ever imagine yourself wanting to do acupuncture?
No.
No. It was never like...
I wasn't like, oh man, I'm
When
11.
yeah.
I'd love to be an acupuncturist.
Yeah.
I thought a lot about becoming a therapist. And, you know, I just didn't want to go through like 8 years of school.
Mm-hmm.
And so acupuncture is a balance between therapy and the physicality of what's happening. And also sometimes not talking and just using the acupuncture and like the needles and certain sort of like techniques is a lot more powerful than actually talking. So a lot of people can't actually manifest and express themselves in a way that they're actually feeling, I've learned.
Oh, totally.
So they hold it in their body and you're like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
Stomach issues, a lot of emotional unrest, back tension, also stress. So it's taught me a lot about that. The physicality.
This is turning into a twofer, by the way.
I know.
It's a money / acupuncture
I know.
episode. It's good.
We're really crushing it.
Yeah. That's so interesting. I really, because I am, and I'm not like gloating, I am really good at speaking.
Yeah.
So, you know, it took me a while to realize like some people they can't verbalize. And it's not a bad thing. It's just that's not their mode of communication. Oh man.
But a lot, you know, people do it differently through like music, right?
Totally.
Or writing, or even like exercise. It's a form of just communicating how you feel. Painting, dancing. Yeah. But I do think it's sort of a lost art, how to communicate. I love talking on the phone. That's rare. Not everybody likes doing that, you know?
Oh, interesting. Just like talking to other people.
Yeah. Or listening. And like
yeah,
having a conversation with
see the
people.
world we live in. No one fucking listens to each other.
Yeah, because no one knows how. Like, we're not... Think about when we were little. We would, like, go play outside and make believe and, like, run around or whatever. But, like, now little kids, like, play Dora the Explorer video games. Like, you're not socializing with other humans the way that I think we did.
Yeah.
Which is... I mean, it would be interesting to see the new... How that manifests.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be cool. Hopefully the world will still be around, too.
Yeah. On this 60-degree day in February. This is just totally nuts. Yeah.
It's not a good vibe. But here we are.
Talking about a bunch of things. We're at 40 minutes.
Should we wrap it up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need to force it.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
Should we do some kind of like...
Oh, I didn't think
final
about that.
Thingy? Okay. I have one.
Okay.
All right. Here's your daily practice. It's super simple. You've heard it before. It's not unique. Just wake up and think about one thing you're grateful for.
That's actually really nice.
That's it. Just one thing. Don't make a whole list. Don't, put yourself through a whole craziness. Just wake up. What are you grateful for? One thing is a nice thing.
I agree. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this little rigmarole.
Yeah. And we'll be back with another episode.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.